Hello and good morning. My name is Samuel Ezerza for the SE channel. I want to welcome to my channel and thank you for tuning in. Before I went out, I was just strolling some of the major headlines. Um, Sometimes if you watch my videos quite a bit, I have a few videos out there, with the House hearings and so on. And this one escaped me a little bit because I was a bit busy. I mean, I do have a life. I'm not just stuck to the TV. And yes, AOC, or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the rep, was in a House hearing, one after the Wells Fargo CEO. I think his name is Tim. Yeah, his name is Tim. I'm sure is Tim Sloan of Wells Fargo CEO, and we're asking questions about caging children at border, like if the banks cage. Um, you know, One of the things that I know about a bank, and I used to work for a bank, is that they make decisions, they go out and do risks, and they lend out money. Okay, what they do, it's not their responsibility. I mean, I'm sure they do their due diligence and so on, but to ask questions about why are you involved? This is what she asked. Are you involved in caging children? Tim Sloan of Wells Fargo, the CEO, didn't know how to answer that question. Like what? Is this the future of the Democratic Party? Not questioning bank loans. You can question bank loans, but there was two companies out there that they were lending the money. I mean, we're going to hear the video. You'll understand what I'm talking about. But the other one, which the other question was, I was like surprised, is about the pipeline, the North Dakota pipeline, and says, why are you lending them money? What happened if there's a leak in the pipeline? Are you going to pay for it? They were looking like shocked. Tim Sloan of Wells Fargo is shocked. They said, well, we're not going to pay for it. We're just taking risk. We're just lending money. There's about 17 or 18 other banks who are also doing it. These are the type of questioning that we're going to be getting used to right now. There seems that the Democratic Party or the Democratic Socialist Party or the left wing of the Socialist Party, the communists now are going after the banks now. Why you're lending this, why you're lending that. Anything to do with the environment. If it's not good for the environment, you should not be lending companies like money and so on. Don't lend them. It's too high of a risk. A pipeline is gonna explode, and this is gonna explode, and that is gonna explode, and people will, God forbid, die, and so on. Let's just hear a little bit of Miss Ocasio Alexandria Cortex, and her genius remarks. Hold on a minute. Okay, this is the new wave. You got to hear it, boys and girls and women. You got to hear this.
I'm interested in the human rights abuses and environmental disasters that some say are financed by your bank, Wells Fargo. In a recent Guardian article by Crystal Tubles and Matt Remley, they stated, Wells Fargo has pursued profits without principles by investing in private prisons, for-profit immigration detention centers, loan shark-like payday lending, and holding much of the bond debt, strangling Puerto Rico's efforts to lift itself out of its financial crisis. Is it true that Wells Fargo has invested or financed in some of these industries?
We made a decision 2 years ago to exit the two relationships that we had with two private prisons firms. One has been exited, and then when the credit agreement with the other one amortizes and matures, we will no longer have that relationship.
Are those two companies Geo Group and CoreCivic?
Correct.
And which one has been exited, Geo Group or CoreCivic?
I can't recall exactly which one. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I'd like to seek unanimous consent to submit 3 reports highlighting the bank's role in debt financing these groups, the for-profit prison companies running ICE detention facilities.
Without objection, such is the order.
Mr. Sloan, why was the bank involved in the caging of children and financing the caging of children to begin with?
Involved?
I don't know how to answer that question because we weren't.
So in finance, you were financing and involved in debt financing of CoreCivic and Geo Group, correct?
For a period of time, we were involved in financing one of the firms. We're not anymore, and the other. I'm not familiar with the specific assertion that you're making, but we weren't directly involved in that.
Okay, so these companies run private detention facilities run by ICE, which is involved in caging children. But I'll move on. Mr. Sloan, Wells Fargo was also an investor, a major investor in the Dakota Access Pipeline and the Keystone XL pipelines. They were prime investors and lenders to companies building these pipelines in defiance of Standing Rock Sioux's treaty rights to protect its water and sacred lands. They warned early on, the Lakota Sioux warned early on that the pipeline was unstable and bound to leak. Despite that, it was built anyway, and it has leaked at least 5 times. And the Keystone XL in particular had one leak that leaked 210,000 gallons across South Dakota. Since Wells Fargo financed the building of this pipeline in an environmentally unstable way, why shouldn't the bank be held responsible for financing the cleanup of the disasters from these projects?
Which pipeline are you referring to?
Either.
So we were not involved in the financing of the XL pipeline. We were one of the 17 or 19 banks that was involved in the financing of the Dakota Access Pipeline.
Okay, so Wells Fargo hasn't financed any company associated with the Keystone XL pipeline?
No, I didn't say that. I said we're not involved in financing that pipeline specifically.
Okay, so let's focus on the Dakota Access Pipeline. Should Wells Fargo be held responsible for the damages incurred by climate change due to the financing of fossil fuels and these projects?
I don't know how you'd calculate that, Congresswoman.
Say from spills, or when we have to reinvest in infrastructure, building seawalls from the erosion of infrastructure, or cleanups, wildfires, etc.
Related to that pipeline, I'm not aware that there's been any of what you described that's occurred related
How about
to that
the cleanups from the leaks of the Dakota Access Pipeline?
I'm not aware of the leaks associated with the Dakota Access Pipeline that you're describing.
So hypothetically, if there was a leak from the Dakota Access Pipeline,
hypothetically,
why shouldn't Wells Fargo pay for the cleanup of it since it paid for the construction of the pipeline itself?
Because we don't operate the pipeline. We provide financing to the company that's operating the pipeline. Our responsibility is to ensure that at the time that we make that loan, that customer, and we have a group of people in Wells Fargo, including an environmental oversight group headed by one of my colleagues who used to be at the EPA.
So one question, why did Wells Fargo finance this pipeline when it was widely seen to be environmentally unstable?
Again, the reason that we were one of the 17 or 19 banks that financed that is because our team reviewed the environmental impact, and we concluded that it was a risk that we were willing to take.
Thank you.
a leak.
They said there was the Dakotas had a leak. They were just building the pipeline, and he says he wasn't aware of any leaks. Wow. Okay, so my name is Samuel E. Zerzer for the SE channel. I want to thank you all, and there you got it. All this misinformation out there. I mean, look, people have the right to ask questions, but this was comical. Take care and God bless.